Coming to you from the Black Goat 39 studios, this is the Guru Talkin Sports Podcast, episode 84, a special edition from yours, the Guru of Sports. And now, here I am, the Guru of Sports. Thank you guys. Today I'm going to do something a little bit different. I was planning on doing two separate podcasts for this day. Today is October 23rd, 2021, and I wanted to make sure that this day was given its proper respect. I wanted to do, like I mentioned before, two podcasts, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you this sports aspect of it, what I usually do, which is what I do. I'm a very, very, I'm married to sports, and my wife tells me that all the time. But I want to mention what this day actually means to me. I was supposed to be joined by my cousin and my two sons, and also my cousin Aaron. I'm going to pick that up a little bit later on in the season. Cousin Aaron, I'm going to try to get him on next week. I know he messaged me earlier and wanted to come on, but this was a day that I needed to take some time to reflect and look back and try to move forward. But the honest truth is that it's kind of hard for me to move forward. Every single day of my life, I'm going to be carrying a burden. Not really a burden, but I'm going to be carrying the memory of this day on my back for the rest of my life. I want you guys to know that I really, really appreciate and love all the thanks and the love and the support that I get from you guys every single week that I do this podcast. I really enjoy doing this. Getting on a microphone and talking to you guys is very, very, I can say therapeutic. And I can also say it's very warming to know that there's people out there that really care about me. And I appreciate that. I thank you all for taking the time to listen to this podcast and listen to the things that I have to mention. Now, on this day, there's not going to be a whole lot of the regular stuff that I usually do. Okay, I cut down a couple things that I felt as though that needed to be cut down. And there's only going to be one song, or not really a song. I'm going to play taps at the end as a proper respect. So my college rap, I usually do 5 little things and then I do college rap. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do college rap. I'm going to talk about some of the things on in sports. I'm going to, he's a bad man as Aaron Rodgers. No matter what, Aaron Rodgers is always a bad man. And I'm going to retire Muhammad Ali for this week. Also going to retire Poo Poo of the Week for this week. And Fantasy Pickup for this week. I'm only going to do my top 5 plus 1 game of the week because there's been a lot of buys this week. Buffalo, Dallas, Jacksonville, the Chargers, Minnesota, and Pittsburgh are all on bye this week. So I'm going to cut it down to the top five plus one, and I do have a few thoughts on a couple things in sports, which I'm going to start right now. The Astros are going back to the World Series. I know how you guys feel about the Astros. I was really, really a big fan of theirs and building back their organization after losing 100 games, like 3 or 4 straight years or so. Then that gives me hope for the Baltimore Orioles. They can probably do the same thing if they can get the right people in place. But the Astros, after I found out they were cheating and they cheated my Dodgers out of a World Series, I feel as though that I kind of lost a lot of respect for them. But they're going back to the World Series, and right now this is really, really close. Dodgers are down 4-2 in the bottom of the eighth inning, and it looks like the Braves are going to go on to the World Series. If the Braves do go on to the World Series, I'm putting my money on the Braves. If they can beat a 106 win team in the Dodgers, the Astros shouldn't have any problem, or they shouldn't have any problem beating the Astros. If the Astros don't cheat, that's one of the big things. Ben Simmons has been a really big topic, and I kind of seen this from the beginning, and my thoughts were that I don't think Ben Simmons was going to be a good player, a good teammate, or a good person to fit into this Philadelphia organization. Philadelphia really took a lot of heat for tanking all the years that they tanked. And now this is what you got. You earned that, so you're going to have to live with it. I'm not really too keen on Ben Simmons, but I kind of seen that he was kind of a selfish player and, probably don't want to work to make things better for him, but that goes with the territory. And Philadelphia, as I know, it's a hard place to play, hard place to be a sports figure, because they do tend to demand the most out of you if you're in Philadelphia. So that's Philadelphia for you. Now, the other night I did see Anthony Davis and Dwight Howard mix it up on the bench in Los Angeles, and believe me, 2 games in, and here we go. We've got our first players that are having a problem with each other. It's going to be a long season for the Lakers. I'm not even sure if they're going to. I'm not sure. It seems as though they got a lot of old players, but I don't know about this thing. I don't know. All right. That's all I can say about it right now. Like I told you, Aaron Rodgers is a bad man. And, I think Aaron Rodgers has to be one of the most I'm not going to say underrated, but it seems as though that he is a, very, very deep thinker. Zen, he believes in the Zen and everything. And I feel as though that Aaron Rodgers is in a better place for himself. So I really, really, and what he told the Chicago fans was amazing. He still owns them. He owns them. He's been in there and at quarterback for 12 years or so, and he still is one of the, he has a great record against the Chicago Bears. So, yeah, he does own them. So he earns I'm a bad man this week. Now, like I told you, I'm gonna not do poo poo of the week or fantasy pickup. I lost last week to Kading Guru. Well, he's here, but he's not feeling well, so I told him that he can take off the podcast. Believe me, Kading Guru wants to get fired from this podcast as much as possible, but I told him that he cannot get fired because he has a lifetime contract. And it's sort of like Ben Simmons. I told him, we were joking around this week. When I was traveling, I was teasing him and telling him that I'm going to beat him in fantasy and everything. And then I ended up losing. But I told him, I said, you're like Ben Simmons in this organization at Black Goat Productions, Black Goat Entertainment, because you can't get fired. You're always going to be here. Dante can't get fired either. So Dante Guru can't get fired. So, that it was an inside joke that we were having. And like I said, some of the inside jokes that we talk about and we tell each other when we are, not on the podcast is one of the funniest things. The Dodgers are down to their last 3 outs, and I'm probably going to end up giving you the final, death certificate. I can say death certificate information on them as soon as this game goes final. Now, I did have, like I mentioned before, I had a top 5 games that I got +1, which is only going to be 6 games this week. None of the games this week really look good to me, and I did something that I normally haven't done from the beginning of this season. I didn't bet on none of these games this week. I didn't bet on these games this week because, well, one, Ms. Guru did find out that I was betting again, so that was between me and you guys out there. That's our secret, but I did have to tell her that I needed to cover a couple more bets, but that's neither here nor there. But I actually have these 5 picks because I feel as though that they're the best 5 picks, or 6 picks plus 5 plus the 1. That they are pretty much the best ones I have. Now, the world champions are always going to get respect. Champions get respect in this house. On my podcast, what I usually do is whoever the world the champions are, I always give them the benefit of the doubt, and I give them the respect that they earned. They earn that respect. So I'm going to pick between Tampa Bay and Chicago. Now, I know Aaron Rodgers owned them last week. I know that Tampa Bay probably will own Chicago again this week. Tampa Bay is a 11.5-point favorite over the Chicago Bears, and I'm definitely going to go with Tampa Bay. If I had to take this game, I would have took Tampa Bay in 11 points. I'm going to go down to the Green Bay Washington game because I told you I'm never going to bet against Aaron Rodgers ever again. Green Bay is an 8.5 favorite over Washington, and they're in they're in Green Bay. I'm gonna go ahead and take Green Bay in the 8.5. I'm sorry. I was messing with my phone right here. I'm sorry. I apologize for that. But I'm gonna take them and go with that. Okay. Next up is Cincinnati and Baltimore. This is a pretty interesting game because Cincinnati is a lot better. They look a lot better. They look like they have some kind of life. You know, they played a couple good games. They lost. They lost that game to Green Bay, which they could have won. Baltimore looked very, very impressive last week when they beat down and beat up the Chargers, and I feel as though that Baltimore still has an upper hand. They're probably one of the better teams in this AFC. I'm going to go with Baltimore in the 6.5. I'll definitely take them. All right, Kansas City and Tennessee. Tennessee looked pretty good, beating Buffalo last week. Kansas City, they're starting to get their groove back and feel and flow back. I really feel as though that Kansas City is back. They're going to have to deal with Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry almost has almost 1,000 yards, and he has 10 touchdowns right now. But I feel as though that Kansas City, but their defense, that Kansas City defense is really, really tough. But I do like Kansas City to outscore them. I'll take Kansas City and the -4. Detroit and the Los Angeles Rams are going to get together. Now, Detroit has some hard luck. Dan Campbell came out and talked about his quarterback, former Rams quarterback, and the Rams have come out and talked about Jared Goff as well. So this is going to be a very big game. You got Detroit coming into Los Angeles. Matthew Stafford. This is the first time that Matthew Stafford has a chance to beat his former team. And now we get to see that 15.5. I got 15.5 down here. And I'm definitely going to take the Rams to cover that 15.5. That's a lot of points. But I'm going to go with it. Now, those are my top 5. And the last one I'm going to take, and the Dodgers are down now to their last out. And it seems as though that the defending World Series champions are going to go down to defeat. I hate to say this, but, you know, I kind of figured they wasn't going to do it 2 years in a row. There are actually, like I said, there's one ball and no strikes on the A.J. Pollock right now. He's up at the bat. All right, the last game I'm going to talk about is Philadelphia, and Albert Pujols is on deck. Philadelphia is going into Las Vegas. I got to keep an eye on my Vegas guys because they basically are going to have to play a little bit better, and I think they are going to play a little bit better. And that game is finally over. I'm sitting up here watching this game, and the Atlanta Braves are going to the World Series now. You heard it first right here, and I congratulate the Atlanta Braves for beating the Los Angeles Dodgers, my Dodgers. I'm going to take the Braves, my World Series prediction right now, I'm going to take the Braves in 6 games. I think they can win in 6 games. I'm looking at the television right now. I know I got to get back to this Las Vegas pick. The Braves are very, very elated, and like I said, they haven't been back to the World Series since 1999. And the Dodgers have been very much the team in baseball last couple of years, winning a lot of games, and this just went down to where they just lost a lot of players. I'm not making any excuses for a Dodger loss, but you got to look at it this way. when it came down to it, I don't think that the Dodgers really had enough to beat the Braves in this series without Clayton Kershaw, without Max Muncy, and without Justin Turner hurting himself a couple games back. Max Scherzer wasn't right to pitch today, and this wasn't a situation where I felt as though that the Dodgers could have won. So I congratulate the Atlanta Braves, and I wish them all the luck. And I'm going to definitely talk about them next week. And the World Series starts on Tuesday. I'm going to definitely talk about them on next week when we get into some baseball on the podcast on episode 85. Okay, I'm finally going to get back to the Philadelphia Eagles versus my Las Vegas Raiders. You remember the Super Bowl 1980 when Kenny King took that touchdown, pick six all the way back on Ron Jaworski, all these guys, Rod Martin, all that stuff. I love my Vegas Raiders, and I give them 2.5. They add 2.5 points favorite. I can take them to win the game. They'll definitely win that game. And that's all I have for the sports side of this. Okay. We have to talk about a few things. I guess I'm going to just have to lay it out right now. On October 23rd, 1983, I was on board the USS New Jersey, BB-62. We were on a peacekeeping mission. We was part of the multi-peacekeeping force in Beirut, Lebanon. And we set out on the outside of Beirut, Lebanon, protecting our Marines that were on land fighting against fighting and trying to protect the interests of the country in that area. I had just got word that my great uncle that raised me, and I felt as though he was more like my grandfather. He raised me, and he had passed away. I knew that he wasn't going to make it, but I before I went out on my deployment in 1983, I talked to my mom and my grandma, my great aunt grandma, and we knew that would probably be the final time. He was very proud of me because I went into the service and I served my country. And when I heard of his passing, I had to leave the ship and go on to the base, or actually on land in Beirut, and then I would fly out to Ryan Air Force Base over in Germany, and then catch a flight to New York, then catch a train down to Wilmington, Delaware, and be a part, be with my family for that time. On October 22nd, I flew in with a couple other guys, and my senior chief was with me, and we landed, and I was supposed to go with him, the senior chief, to the barracks in Beirut, in the Marine barracks. He went because he was a higher ranking service member. I didn't go because I was a lower ranking service member. So me and a couple guys, we ended up hanging out with the Marines right at the well, this was like at a spot right next to I guess the Lebanese border, to where we had to guard the perimeter or so. So I never fired a gun before in my life, but I ended up firing one that night. So what I did was I ended up I was so nervous, and I'd never been in battle before. I'd never been in battle, and I ended up spending time with the Marines there, and I had I had to sleep like maybe I'll say about maybe 150, 200, 200, about a football field's length, probably about like a stadium field's length away from the barracks. So about 2:30 in the morning, um, they got me up and they got my buddy up, and we had to go out and kind of like guard the perimeter a little bit. And we ended up firing a few rounds, and that was something I'll never forget because, like I said, I never fired any kind of gun before. So went back to sleep about like maybe 3:30 or so. Now I couldn't sleep because I was in a different place. I'd never been there before. So I get up at about like maybe, I'll say about like maybe 6:15 or so. 6:15, I get up, I climb out of the, more or less like the little hole that we were in. And I just kind of got up and, kind of shook it off a little bit. So I'm looking, towards the barracks and everything. And around 6:20, 6:22 or something like that, I seen this white van driving. Next thing you know, I turn my head. I turn back around. I hear an explosion. I turn around, and I'd seen something that I'd never seen before in my life. And I think it was the first time in my life that I had witnessed something that I thought I never was supposed to witness. I ran over to where what happened, and after that it became a situation where I didn't know if there were more coming or what was going on. I was told to try to help people, dig people out, or try to figure out what was going on, and that turned into kind of like chaos. But recovery turned into actually a search for people turned into a just a mission of trying to put I really, it's really hard for me to say, but excuse me. It was really hard. It's hard for me to talk about. But what I'm going to say is that after a while, we had to dig through rubble. We had to try to get people out. We got some people out. We didn't get some people out. We had to carry bodies out. We had to put bodies in body bags. We had to put bodies in caskets. We had to put people in we had to do things that I never thought I would have to do before. I've seen things that I never thought I would see before. But I knew that when I took the oath to be sworn in as a naval member, I knew that this was going to be, part of my life. So after a while, after all this happened, I was on a plane going to Ryan Air Force Base in Germany. And I sat on the back of that C-141 with all those caskets, all those body bags. And it was it was the most difficult feelings I ever had in my life. If I can go back in time and think about what I did during that time, it's just hard for me to sit here right now and think that I'm still alive and there's 241 families out there that lost loved ones. Actually 240, because my family was one of the 241. When I got back home to Delaware, a couple days later, my father talked to me and told me that you lost your cousin over there. I think the hardest thing for me wasn't going to my great uncle, grandfather's funeral. The hardest thing for me was that I had to find out that our cousin was over there. He lost his life. I came back. And I just can't understand it. I just can't understand it. I knew there was nothing I could do, but the thing about it is that I just don't understand. I'm here right now to talk to you guys and to tell you guys about my story. But I had to find out when I got back here. It's difficult. It's a burden. It's something that I have to deal with the rest of my life. And I do have thoughts. From that day on, I have not had a situation where I wasn't, sometimes I feel like I'm shell-shocked. Sometimes I feel like I'm stressed. But I do try to be a very, very, I cope with it. I deal with it every single day. And it's hard. But this day was very, very special to me because I made it home. And I talked to my cousin Dane. And we talked. We talked yesterday. And, he's proud of me. I'm proud of him. But I feel as though that I'm just a uh, I'm just lucky. I guess I can say I'm lucky. My heartfelt condolences goes out to all the families, including my own, about this day because it was hard for me to talk about this day. It's hard for me to deal with this day every single day of my life. I have to deal with this. I really appreciate taking this time to express what I have to, what I have to go through and what I'm dealing with every single day. But I really appreciate having a platform. Black Goat Entertainment gives me a platform. Spreaker gives me a platform. And I thank them for taking the time to allowing me just to share this story with you. But for the other families, we want to know, you know, we have a lot of questions. We have a lot of answers. We need more information. You know, there's been a lot of stuff that's going on. We still haven't got a lot of information. We would like to have more. The slogan for the men and women that lost their lives in this is never forgotten. Believe me, they will never be forgotten. And for the next couple years, the 40th anniversary is coming up in a couple years. It won't be forgotten. Never will be forgotten. You know, 9/11, Pearl Harbor, and all these other things get a lot more recognition. I don't know why, but you know, we got to remember these young men that lost their lives on this day. We got to remember the 13 that lost their lives in last August. We got to remember the people from Benghazi. We got to remember every single service member that we lost. It's a very, very big thing for the families. My family and those other families. We have to remember them every single day. And believe me, I have gone through so many articles and read so many things about this day. And I'm just lucky to be here. And I really appreciate my time. I really appreciate my time that you're sitting here listening to this. Because, it could be a lesson for us to remember. And like I said, I won't forget. I will never forget this day, because this day is going to be with me for the rest of my life. I want to say thank you, and I'm going to end this right now. You can find me on YouTube at the Guru of Sports Show. I'm still having problems with my Facebook. I'm a couple more weeks. Like I mentioned to you before, October is a very, very difficult month. We just lost our dog 2 days ago. And not 2 days ago, a year and 2 days ago. I want to mention that. That anniversary came up on Wednesday. It's hard. It's very hard. Or actually, it came up on Thursday. She passed away on October 21st, 2020, and that came up last Thursday. But anyway, um, you know where to find me on Twitter. Goat39 on Twitter. Goaties at BlackGoat39 on Twitter. Like I told you, find us wherever you find your podcast. Please rate this podcast and give us 5 stars if you can. I really, really appreciate it. Subscribe to the podcast. And like I said, this is a very special episode. Episode 84 is very special. I will remember this. And like I said, I didn't even really get to the college rap. On this day, it didn't. I mean, you can check the scores. A lot of things happen. Ohio State won, so that's good. But it's really not about the games. It's really not about the sports. It's something very serious. You got to remember that these people will never be forgotten. Not to me. I'm going to end this program right now and this podcast, and I'm going to say thank you for listening. And I want to say thank you for taking the time to letting me being able to share my story. I told you there's only one musical thing that you'll hear today, and that's taps. I will see you back here next week. The Guru will see you real soon. Next week, let's have a great week and keep me and my family and the family of the 241 Marine military personnel that we lost on October 23rd, 1983. Later.